Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and we are back with more news and politics from around the world. This time for Thursday, January the 23rd, 2025. Now, the first article we're going to look at is from Ken Klippenstein. Leakers declare war on Trump. Trump's attack on DEI triggers resistance, including against Elon Musk. In the past 24 hours, over 2 dozen people from across the federal government leaked to me various internal directives and memos killing their agency's DEI programs. One angry official even sent me Elon Musk's new official White House email address. I verified the address belonging to the executive office of the president by sending an email which didn't bounce back. In fact, I've gotten more leaked documents in the past day than I've gotten on any other day. And leaks for me were already so commonplace that someone even made a rap about it. Government workers are angry, or some in the rank and file anyway. The documents tell a story of both resistance by those who leaked them and obedience by those who wrote them. The leaks are tantamount to a declaration of war against the president and his agenda, which at first glance seems like an affirmation of Trump's claims about the existence of a bureaucratic deep state. But this office uprising is more complicated as a closer look at the documents reveal. We'll go ahead and end that story there. As always, I'll have these available to read and everything. Next, we have an image from Appalachia subreddit. It is an image of Catoctin Mountain Park in Thurmont, Maryland. But yeah, let's take a look here. Some beautiful images of the winter in the Appalachian Mountains in Maryland, which should be just like Western Maryland, if I'm guessing my geography correctly. So yeah. But yeah, some beautiful looks. Next, we're going to look at a article by Ask Historians subreddit. Is there historical evidence that birthright citizenship was practiced in America prior to the 14th Amendment? I've been seeing a lot of arguments that the 14th Amendment was never meant to protect birthright citizenship. It was meant to provide citizenship for newly freed slaves. People crossing the border and having a child to assert citizenship for the child is a loophole in this argument, and the conclusion is that the loophole should be closed. But I've seen other people say that birthright citizenship was always policy in America, and that the 14th Amendment was just making it explicitly protected. But it was always part of British common law. So under this argument, there's no loophole. 14th Amendment is functioning as intended. What is the historical evidence? Was birthright citizenship intended to grant citizenship to the children of people who entered the country illegally? Was birthright citizenship commonly accepted in America prior to the 14th Amendment? let me take care of something right quick here. Ba-ba. Oh. Amendment. Boom. All right. This is per the National Archives. The 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was passed in 1868. Remember, this is after the Civil War, because you suddenly have all these slaves who have been freed due to the fighting of this war, and within 3 years, you've got this bill passed. But it was passed by Congress on June the 13th, 1866, and ratified July the 9th, 1868, and extended liberties and rights granted by the Bill of Rights to formerly enslaved people. Now, the amendment reads, Section 1. Sorry, I'm munching on pizza here while I talk. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within the jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. It says right there, sentence 1, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. Let me look this up right quick, because we're going to get some things straightened out here, because I'm tired of this BS that Republicans tried to spread. Naturalized. Oop, if I can type. It was right there. Oh, nope. It should be over right there. Okay, naturalize. Transitive verb. To confer the rights of a national on, especially to admit to citizenship. That's the first one of the several meanings it has. This is clear. I think it's pretty fucking clear. It's clear as a bell. Anybody that's trying to argue with this is a damn fool. There's nothing in this that suggests to me otherwise. Section 2 reads, representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers, counting the whole number of persons in each state, excluding Indians not taxed. But when the right to vote at any election for the choice of electors for President and Vice President of the United States, representatives in Congress, the executive and judicial officers of a state, or the members of the legislature thereof, is denied to any of the male inhabitants of such state being 21 years of age and citizen of the United States, or in any way abridged except for participation in rebellion or other crime, the basis of representation therein shall be reduced in the proportion which the number of such male citizens shall bear to the whole number of male citizens 21 years of age in such state. Why is that section important? In the original, when the Constitution was originally written, there was what was called the Three-Fifths Compromise. The northern states didn't want to count slaves because Southerners didn't treat them as people. But the Southerners, being much less in population, said, hold up. We think we should be able to count them. They're not actual people, so how about 3/5? So each black person counts 3/5 of a person? It overturns that gross misjudgment of a law. Section 3. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress to an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. So, it's saying, look, you're a citizen, but you cannot hold an office unless it's voted that even though you did contribute against the United States, you may do so, actually hold office. Section 4. The validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned. But neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States for any claim for the loss or emancipation of any slave, but all such debts, obligations, and claims shall be held illegal and void. So, what we're saying here, if they came over and joined the U.S., the Union Army, hey, they deserve their wages. or they did things for the Union. They deserve their pays. There is no doubts, no questions, no buts. But it says they will not pay any former slave owners who proclaim that they have lost revenue because of it, emancipation of slaves. So yeah. And Section 5. The Congress shall have power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. This article is law, but if Congress needs to, it can push something into law to enforce it, to give it further standing. But yeah, this is clear. First sentence. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. So it don't fucking matter if they came here and then was born here. As far as we're fucking goddamn concerned, as far as the Constitution is concerned, they're citizen motherfuckers. Get over it. I just wanted to put that out there because I'm so sick of these jackasses trying their best to kick people out because they're racist pricks. Now, next question from the Ask Historians subreddit. Why were the Romans unable to permanently control Iraq, unlike the Ottomans? During the long-lasting 700-year Roman-Persian Wars, although the Romans successfully invaded Iraq a few times, they were unable to establish a permanent foothold in the region. The Persians always managed to regain control following the retreat of the main Roman forces. On the other hand, although the Ottomans faced a similar geopolitical situation as the Romans, they managed to establish permanent control over the region. Suleiman the Magnificent conquered Baghdad in 1534, and from that point onward, the Ottomans ruled Iraq until World War I, when it was invaded by the British. During their 400 years of rule, although the Turks were constantly at war with the Persians, they only lost Iraq for a brief period of 14 years in the 17th century. However, Murad IV recaptured Baghdad in 1638, re-establishing Ottoman hegemony. So, my question is, what explains the difference? While it is true that neither the Ottoman Turks nor the Romans managed to conquer Persia, the Ottomans were far more successful in subduing Iraq and projecting power into western Iran, but I am unsure of the exact reasons for this difference. Was it due to the Ottomans having better logistics, or was their military simply more efficient in subduing Persian forces? What do you think? And I love the first answer. Between the Romans and Turks, it's the only answer so far, but between the Romans and Turks were the Mongol invasions. Genghis Khan. The Iraq the Romans saw was much more lush, green, and populous, maintained by a vast infrastructure of canals and slaves to get salt out of the marshlands and irrigate. The Mongol invasions destroyed this infrastructure, leaving Iraq the majority desert land it remains until this day. This is at least one factor that comes to mind. Iraq had a much smaller population and was less valuable for the Persians to contest. So yeah. While the Ottomans had them from the 1500s on. I think the Mongols were around the 1200s. They ran roughshod over Asia into the Middle East. They were feared by everybody because nobody was able to really stop them. Shoot. They only stopped expanding because Genghis Khan finally passed away, and so they turned back and took them home to bury them somewhere. With Khan at the helm, though, they were an unstoppable wave of assault. Nothing set in their way. They would have conquered Europe if Khan hadn't died when he did. So, yeah. Now, let's look at some data is beautiful. Countries with higher wages work less hours, according to the chart. Here is the United States, about 80,000, and it's about in the middle. It's pretty much like an aberration. You can see it almost sits here by itself. But yeah, countries that pay less on the lower end, 40, 30, 20, 10,000, they work way more hours. But as you can see, there is a noticeable trend where people making more work far less hours. And so it is an interesting look to identify. It's like, interesting. Now, whether it's because some of these are bosses or just because they're considered cushier jobs and possibilities are much better, or, some countries just give a shit about their workers and they're like, hey, you deserve these things. But again, U.S., the oddball here. We're probably the highest paid that works so much. So yeah. Interesting chart. Now, this is from Donga. Do you think the election of Donald Trump as U.S. president is a good or bad thing for your country? And they list a number of countries. Green is good, gray is neither or don't know, and red is bad. India thinks it's great. Saudi Arabia likes it too. Russia is kind of in the middle. And then from there, we start really going down. Yeah. And, India don't have a great human rights record. Neither does Saudi Arabia. Russia, we've not always been on the best of terms with. Next is China, and we haven't been on the best of terms with them. So, yeah. The ones who like it are the ones that are not always great allies or even allies at all at times. So, yeah. Now, it's not always seen as bad necessarily until you get down to the United Kingdom, which is Britain, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. They think 54% see it as a bad thing. And South Korea, where 67% see it as a bad thing. Other notables, the EU 11, European Union 11, 38% see it as a bad thing as opposed to 22% see it as a good thing. It's mostly, we're not too sure, but leans more toward bad. And then Turkey, 30% see it as a bad thing as opposed to 35% seeing it as a good thing, and 35% unsure. So it's, yeah, it tips more towards good, but it's still that very, we're not so sure about that. And lastly, Switzerland. 34% say it's a bad thing. 23% say it's a good thing, with 44% unsure. So yeah, it mostly leans in the likelihood that it's a bad thing. So countries and groups that have been our allies are like, yeah. But anyway, let's close that. Now, let's look at this chart from the Data is Beautiful subreddit. U.S. presidents' lifespans and timelines versus inauguration, updated and dynamic. I can't see anything on that. Okay. So, yeah. This visual presents the lifetimes of all U.S. presidents aligned to the moment they took office for the first time, marked as year on the, it's hard to read that. A colorful dot next to the president's surname indicates that he died while in office. White text means that the president is still alive as of the 20th of January 2025, which we had Carter buried just before. So yeah. FDR simplicity. For simplicity, I have divided presidents into those affiliated with Republican, red, Democratic, blue, or other gray parties. The numbers on the right represent the length of each section in years. I think, but yeah. Now, John F. Kennedy, Clinton, Obama, Grover Cleveland. Biden's actually ranked on the low end quite a bit. All presidents had a lower view of him, though. Boo. Kennedy, of course, died in office. FDR died in office. These are Democratic presidents. Now the Republicans, Garfield died in office, Lincoln died in office, Harding died in office, and McKinley died in office. You can see how much they go to the negative. They're very much like the Democrats, so it's like no one party really has something over the other. And then you have other presidents, which usually John Adams was Federalist, and then the others were just a variety of different parties and stuff. But they were pretty much held in the negative. Presidency wasn't an easy thing. Washington it's got as an other because he did not want to be associated with a party, even though he more recognized with the anti-federalist or federalist. Either way, yeah, he was like, look, we do not need to attach ourselves to parties. And then what did the next person do? Immediately attach themselves to parties. And ever since then, it's been the party BS. So, yeah. But, let's go on to look at some pictures. History porn. Henry Ford receiving the Grand Cross of the German Eagle, the highest medal Nazi Germany could bestow on a foreigner from the German consul in Cleveland in July of 1938. I'm sure I've probably seen this at another point because I remember something similar to it, but it may be a repost or something like that, but still an interesting thing to see because, yeah. People did not fully recognize what was happening in Germany with what would become known as the Holocaust. Certain groups were all being rounded up and either executed or imprisoned. Of course, the most well-known is Jewish people, but also you had Romani, more known by a lot of people as Gypsy, though they don't like being called Gypsy. They're Romani. And then other groups were targeted, like homosexuals. Yeah. It wasn't just Jews. There was a number of groups they actually went after, so. But it was Jews that was the most despicable of how they were treated. Here's a picture of Benito Mussolini with his wife, Donna Rochelle, at the beach in the 1920s. Mussolini, of course, would be dictator of Italy, and he would spend a good portion of the 20s and throughout the 30s as dictator, going into World War II, and would be a big ally of Hitler's. But yeah. History porn. Mogadishu in the 1960s, 70s. It's a city in Africa. but I cannot remember where exactly, what country in Africa. I'm wanting to say Somalia, but I don't know if that's right. What country is Mogadishu? Yeah, located in Somalia. Okay, so I was right. I just wasn't sure. I'm wanting to say Somalia, but I'm not sure. So yeah. And of course, this is before it became a pirate haven. You could see in the background the ocean and everything because Somalia is on that little tip end on the eastern end of Africa. That little sharp point, that horn of the side there. But yeah, the city of Mogadishu, 1960s to 1970s. It looks pretty modern. You can see taxis. The streets are paved. You got beautiful infrastructure. But of course, it would fall and become a big haven of pirates. And this is from the History Porn subreddit. S. Sergeant Casimir A. Nastal of Detroit, Michigan, and S. Sergeant Clarence E. Winchell of Oak Park, Illinois. I'm assuming the S. Sergeant means Staff Sergeant. I am not certain, but I think that's what it means. They're both gunners on a Boeing B-17, the Memphis Belle, shown at their positions after takeoff from the base in England on a mission on June the 7th, 1943, during the height of the war. You know, things were looking bleak. But in 43, Mussolini would fall, which would leave only Germany and Japan to deal with. But yeah. Anyway, this is an image from the NASA subreddit. NASA is developing a new material that could strengthen solar cells for deeper space exploration. So yeah. Now let's look at some news. From CBS News, Trump signs executive order to release more JFK, RFK, MLK assassination files. John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Martin Luther King. If he does so, great. But I'm not ready to sit there and lick his boots. He's going to do a lot to make up for all the BS he's already done. From CBS News, schools in Massachusetts, second largest city, won't coordinate with ICE. Warn about agents at bus stops. And of course, it's the second largest city, Worcester, Massachusetts. Yeah. School bus drivers in the second largest city in Massachusetts are urged to keep students on the bus if an immigration agent is waiting for them. There have been no reported cases of students being detained at bus stops, but just this week, the Trump administration signaled it would allow federal immigration agencies to make arrests at schools, churches, and hospitals. Which just sounds wrong and a violation to me. Deny. From France 24. Bloomberg to fund UN climate agency after the U.S. exits from the Paris Accord because Trump's a little bitch. I mean, he signed a executive order that removed us from it because he's a little bitch. Millionaire former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg announced Thursday that his foundation would fund the UN Climate Change Agency after President Donald Trump withdrew the U.S. from the Paris Agreement. Bloomberg's pledge will cover the 22% of its $96.5 million budget previously provided by the U.S. for 2024 and 2025. Because guess what, dumbass Donnie? Climate change is real. Whether you don't want to accept it or not, it doesn't change it. The fact is, it's a real thing. Get over it. Of course he won't, because he's a little bitch. From The Guardian, law enforcement joined meetings of far-right oath keepers, a leak shows. Documents uncover ties between extremist group and conservative politics, police, and legal establishment in Utah. Surprise, surprise, politicians and law enforcement working with white extremist groups. This is why you should never trust Republicans. From ABC News, at least 11 dead after record-breaking snowstorms swept across the South. An extreme cold warning remains in effect Thursday. Yeah, it struck down to northern Florida. Yeah, the Gulf Coast is digging out from a once-in-a-lifetime snowstorm that struck from Texas to Florida, closing airports, crippling roadways, and leaving freezing temperatures in its wake. At least 11 deaths have been attributed to the storm and accompanying cold blast. Yeah, we've been dealing with snow here for over 2 weeks, but we're kind of used to it here. I mean, we're not like Minnesota or anything, but we're in the middle. You know, we get enough snow per winter that, yeah, we're pretty used to it. From the AP, Purdue Pharma and owners to pay $7.4 billion in settlement of lawsuits over the toll of OxyContin, which caused a lot of people to overdose. Members of the family who own OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma and the company itself agreed to pay up to $7.4 billion, which is tiny, in a new settlement to lawsuits over the toll of the powerful prescription painkiller. The attorneys general from several states announced Thursday it should be a lot more. The deal agreed to by Purdue Pharma, the Sackler family members who own the company, and lawyers representing state and local governments, and thousands of victims of the opioid crisis, replaces a previous settlement deal that was rejected last year by the U.S. Supreme Court. It should be more. As much as they made off this BS on what they did to people, it should be far more. From the Independent, RFK Jr. is telling Senate Republicans that he's actually all for vaccines in a screeching U-turn. Kennedy has suggested, contrary to scientific consensus, that certain vaccines are connected to childhood autism, asthma, and developmental impairment. But now apparently he's all for vaccines. He was wanting to get rid of the polio vaccine and a number of others, which would have brought back severe cases of diseases we hadn't seen for decades. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. built a following online by questioning the scientific consensus and casting doubt on the use of vaccines in the U.S. But under his new boss, Donald Trump, the failed presidential candidate, is suddenly shifting his stance. Kennedy is Trump's pick to head the Health and Human Services Department. Ahead of his new potential role in the Trump White House, he's reportedly been assuring the Republican senators who have to vote him in that he's all for polio vaccines and that he isn't going to ban any vaccines, according to a report by Politico. Yeah, he's been saying a lot of these vaccines don't really work. They just cause autism and cancer, and which is full of bullshit. From Salon, excluding Indians, Trump administration questions Native Americans' birthright citizenship in court. The Trump administration is leaning on a pre-14th Amendment law in its fight to redefine birthright citizenship. Dumbass! 14th Amendment says if you are born in the U.S., you're a citizen. Get over it. God damn, he's a dumb fuckhead. From the Independent, Trump inauguration pulls in just 24.6 million viewers. Way down from Biden in 2021. While Trump made his triumphant return to the White House, viewership was down compared to Joe Biden's ceremony in 2021, which drew nearly 40 million. So it was cut almost in half. Fox News, unsurprisingly, led the pack with over 10 million viewers. So yeah, it went from 40 million down to 24.6. Oh, people do not like this man, but there's a hardcore base that are like, we love him, we'll suck his dick. It's like, you would, wouldn't you? Yeah, you dumbasses would. From the Independent, he is the world's leading free speech hypocrite. Elon Musk's battle with Wikipedia is part of his war on truth. Elon Musk is angry at Wikipedia for reporting his alleged Nazi salute, but his attacks are part of a long and troubling history of trying to suppress information he finds inconvenient. Yeah. Because he threatened to purchase Wikipedia, there was a huge influx of donations to support the site, so he couldn't buy it. So yeah. This is why billionaires shouldn't have such power. There shouldn't be billionaires, in all honesty. From The Guardian. Republicans reportedly ready to cut Medicaid funding to pay for Trump plans. House and Senate Republicans float ideas to pay for Trump's immigration crackdown and to fund tax cuts. Quit floating ideas, because all you're wanting to do is hurt actual regular people, such as in the top here, ready to cut Medicaid funding. This is why Trump and the Republicans are evil. Give money to themselves and the rich. Fuck the average people. It's what they do. And again, there's people who'll bend down and kiss his boot just because they're like, you tell them Democrats what to do, Sir Trump. I love you. Yeah. From the AP, Hegseth told Senator he paid $50,000 to the woman who accused him of 2017 sex assault. Yeah, the guy's got so many skeletons in his closet, but we're in a period of politics where that stuff don't matter anymore. It's, do you hate the other party? Then great, I love you, which is why we need more than two parties. This two-party dichotomy BS is not going to work anymore. From The Guardian, U.S. meteorologist fired from TV station after criticizing Elon Musk's salute. Sam Couples' departure comes after far-right radio host slams her condemnation of ex-owner's apparent Nazi salute. This was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a meteorologist. I'm assuming at a local CBS affiliate. Yeah. Because they were American. You know, they were sensible people. Like the people who were before us, who fought in World War II to fight Nazis. What Trump was, or Elon was fucking doing, casting a Nazi salute. But that apparently is okay now, to be a Nazi. I don't know what the fuck is going on in, well, I do know what the fuck is going on in America. It's the goddamn propaganda from the Roger Ailes and fucking Rupert Murdoch. Those motherfuckers have done this. From Common Dreams, Senate Dems block deliberately misleading GOP Republican bill attacking reproductive care. This bill is the very definition of pernicious. It attacks women's health care using false narratives and outright fear-mongering, said Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Good. You know, women and others are already losing rights. You know, Republicans keep crying, we're for freedom, but they love stripping people of rights. Love stripping people of freedoms. They're not the fucking Freedom Party. They're the you do what we fucking tell you to do party. They don't believe in fucking freedom. From Stat News, Trump executive order declaring only two sexes gets the biology wrong, scientists say. Order describes sex as an immutable biological classification as either male or female. I'd like to talk to you about something called intersex, you little dumb fucking bitch. During his inauguration speech Monday, Trump promised to make America binary again. You're going to make America stupid is what you're going to do, you dumbass motherfucker. It will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. Within hours, he had signed the executive order to that effect, asserting a new legal definition of sex that strips federal recognition of gender identity of some 1.6 million trans and non-binary Americans. The order directly contradicts a number of existing laws and recent court rulings and is likely to face legal challenges. It also defies decades of research into how human bodies grow and develop. The document represents a dramatic failure to understand biology, says Rachel Levin, a Pomona College neuroscientist who studies the development of sex. In the order, sex is described as an individual's immutable biological classification as either male or female, and despite Trump's own conflation in his address, he says sex does not serve as a synonym for gender identity. Scientists who study gender define it as someone's sense of self reflected in their attitudes, feelings, and behaviors, which is different from sex, which is generally defined based on an individual's anatomy, physiology, genetics, and hormones. Researchers told Stat News that both are best understood as multidimensional concepts influenced by both biological and social factors. But of course, Trump, being the dumb fuck he is, no, I only believe in two. That's all my mind can fit. It's like, God, he's so stupid. From the AP, experts worry that Trump's January 6 pardons will legitimize political violence, embolden extremists. Yeah. They did violence at the Capitol. They attacked Capitol Police members. Yeah, I'd say that's legitimizing political violence. Emboldening extremists. Enrico Tarrio, the then leader of the Proud Boys, was sentenced to 14 years, but his sentence was commuted. It's like, dude. But again, there's no reasoning with Trump because he's a dumbass motherfucker. From LGBTQ Nation, unhinged GOP senator says trans kids should live in fear of their own parents. Dumbfuck Tommy Tuberville appeared to be accusing parents of abusing their children to turn them trans. Again, dumbfuck ball coat sumbitch. Tommy Tuberville, one of the dumbest fucking senators. The man shouldn't be in office. He is as stupid as they get. From The Guardian, setting us up for catastrophe. Alarm at Trump attack on Federal Disaster Agency. The president is now setting his sights on FEMA. the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the agency responsible for helping Americans after major disasters. Yeah, he's like, I think states should handle it. Guess what, dumb fuck? Most states that are southern and red have to get assistance from groups like FEMA. You are a stupid cocksucker, Trump. From the AP, Trump pardons anti-abortion activists who blockaded clinic entrances. Yeah, just more of the bullshit pardons he made. Donald Trump announced Thursday he would pardon anti-abortion activists convicted of blockading abortion clinic entrances. Trump calls it a great honor to sign this. They should have been prosecuted, or they should not have been prosecuted, he said as he signed it, which are supposed to be pardons for peaceful pro-life protesters. Bullshit. The people pardoned were involved in the October 2020 invasion and blockade of a Washington clinic. Lauren Handy was sentenced to nearly 5 years in prison for leading the blockade by directing blockaders to link themselves together with locks and chains to block the clinic's doors. A nurse sprained her ankle when one person pushed her while entering the clinic, and a woman was accosted by another blockader while having labor pains, prosecutors said. Police found 5 fetuses in Handy's home after she was indicted. They're not pro-life. They're pro-forced abortion. If you're pro-life, you also want free schooling, free school lunches, help with their parents to be able to pay for food and clothes and shelter. But no, they're not all for that. It's get born, you're on your fucking own after that. They're not pro-life. They're pro-forced birth. From the American Prospect. Will the courts enforce the Constitution against President Trump? If they don't, the checks and balances that have defined our government since its inception will give way to one-man authoritarian rule. Which is what has me scared. Because the Supreme Court are all, well, it's mostly cucks for fucking Trump. And a lot of our federal courts are run from cucked Trump judges. From The Guardian. TV viewing figures fall for Trump's inauguration. Yeah, just another example of how his inauguration sucked so much. Ran behind Biden's so much. Because Trump is not liked. From The Guardian, Trump uses Davos address to accuse oil producers of prolonging the Ukraine war. President also threatens tariffs on imports to the U.S. and repeats its call for NATO countries to increase defense spending to 5%. God, he's such a little fucking whiny ass bitch. I swear. Motherfucker is like, I don't care. I'm going to take my butt home. Why anyone would vote for the fucktard baffles me. From SciPost. Adolescents with authoritarian leanings exhibit weaker cognitive ability and emotional intelligence. So, yeah, they're not as intelligent and more likely to have emotional outbursts. According to the article. It's from a study published in the Journal of Personality. Okay. Anyway. From the Irish Star. Jeff Bezos deletes the LGBTQ plus rights and equity for black people from Amazon's corporate policies. Amazon's modifications mirror similar actions taken by other major companies after Trump's election victory, including Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, McDonald's, and Walmart. Because they don't like being forced to do things, even though we know they would be fucking pieces of shit that need to be forced into doing the right thing. This is why we should have no billionaires. Being a billionaire should be seen as evil, not being poor. If you have enough money to be a fucking billionaire while people struggle, while people suffer, fuck you, motherfuckers. From Science.org. Microplastics in the bloodstream can induce cerebral thrombosis by causing cell obstruction and lead to neurobehavioral abnormalities. Yep, so it can actually change your behaviors just because you're getting the microplastics in your system. But people don't care because they can't see it. I'm serious. There's a number of people who are too goddamn fucking stupid for their own fucking good. From Reuters, Putin growing concern by Russia's economy as Trump pushes for Ukraine deal. Not surprised the economy's suffering more and more devastation. From The Guardian, world's addiction to fossil fuels is Frankenstein's monster, says the UN chief. Antonio Guterres issues a warning at Davos days after Donald Trump pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement. Yeah, we're headed to the worst case scenario with climate change. But again, because it's not working fast enough for people to open their eyes and go, oh shit, things are happening. They don't fucking believe in it. Even though the fucking science shows it's fucking there, you dumb fucking sons of bitches. They don't believe in that, but they'll believe in a magic sky daddy who does not fucking exist, who has shown no facts of existing. Fucking morons. From the BBC, Trump tells Putin to end ridiculous war in Ukraine or face new sanctions, which goes along with the previous article we show where Putin's struggling economically with Russia is, so making Putin worry. So yeah, though I doubt very much he'd put sanctions on Russia. He's such a little bitch. He'd probably get down and suck Vlad's cock. From Reuters, Russia rejects idea of NATO peacekeepers in Ukraine, warning of uncontrollable escalation. They keep wanting to threaten. And it's like, dude, you all were the aggressors. You're at fault. I think you have very little say in this shit. From People, Mexican president reacts to Trump's Gulf of America plan. For the entire world, it is still the Gulf of Mexico. Claudia Sheinbaum's statement comes after U.S. President Donald Trump, the dumb fucking dickhead who's in office, signed an executive order to officially rename the body of water. Now, let's go ahead and look at some video clips here. This is reports of Homeland Security agents and the FBI raiding office of a known Providence, Rhode Island immigration lawyer. Why are you hiding? Huh? Are you doing something less than legal? Are you, you little law enforcement bitches? I swear, I fucking hate law enforcement with a passion. Because they're not law enforcement. They're status quo protectors. Senator Dana Polanyi, Musk's unmistakable Nazi salute at Trump's inauguration ignites global white supremacist celebration.
Mr. President, on Martin Luther King Day, during President Trump's inauguration ceremony, the richest, most powerful man on earth, Elon Musk, threw a fervent and unmistakable Sieg Heil Nazi salute in the context of assuring the future of civilization by electing Trump. The celebration from neo-Nazi and white supremacist groups around the world was instant and unanimous. And many residents in my Senate district are shook, as are residents in my hometown of Flushing, some of whom have had anti-Semitic flyers placed on their porches. Predictably, supporters of Musk, a close advisor to the president, are gaslighting Americans with every excuse in the book for him, mostly using Musk's own social media platform to do it, telling us we didn't see what we saw and it didn't mean what we think. Mr. President, our eyes and ears and brains are working just fine. We don't yet live inside an Orwell novel, though sometimes it feels like it. We saw what we saw, and it meant what it meant. My grandpa Saminsky, in a cold, muddy bunker in France during World War II, prayed to his favorite Catholic saint that if he made it out alive and had a daughter, he would name her Mary. He did. Mary was my mom. Many of us have similar stories about our family members who fought in combat overseas so that we wouldn't have to live under fascism in America. Musk dishonors honored my grandfather and the hundreds of thousands of Americans who died fighting that fascist salute. And he belongs nowhere near the White House. Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that my remarks be printed in the journal.
Yep. I agree wholeheartedly with her. She's clearly an American senator, but I don't think she's the actual national senator, because there's only 2 senators per state, and it says 5th District Livonia, so she's more than likely a state senator in her state's Senate. I still don't know what state that is, but yeah, I think she said it quite elegantly. It's an insult to our ancestors when fuckers like Musk do Nazi salutes. And I think it is all Americans' responsibility to go and beat the shit out of fucking Nazis. Motherfuckers shouldn't be, happy and willing to show their fucking face. We need to kick the goddamn shit out of them. Fucking take bats, take guns, fucking beat their ass. I'm not saying use violence, but these are not people. From Israel's economy minister gets called out during interview with CNBC at Davos 2025. But yeah, seriously, don't go do violence. I'm just that angry with fucking Nazis that I'd love to see their asses get fucking pummeled into the mud. I hate the motherfuckers. We fought a fucking war just 80 years ago over this shit. And fuck Nazis. Every one of them should have a baseball bat taken to the face. But again, don't commit violence. I'm not telling you to commit violence. I want to put that out there.
We have much less civil casualties in Lebanon than we had in Gaza. And the reason is that we don't want to hurt innocent people. However,
Minister,
when they hide behind the civilians,
Minister,
we're telling them, bear with me 1 second. Okay?
Minister,
Bear with me a second.
Minister, I mean, you have to explain that comment a little bit further. That is outrageous to say. Tens of thousands of innocent people have died as a result of Israel's war in Gaza. You know that.
We've told them to move and to shy away from the terrorists. And with all due respect, how do every proportion...
To this day, they still try to reason their way out of the genocide they have been committing.
Ratio in the world. In wars, one of the best ratios of war.
How do you think history will remember this war, given the amount of civilian casualties?
What are you talking about? You know how many civilians were killed in the Second World War all over the region? With all due respect, that's unfair.
And under this government...
No, it's very fucking fair, cocksucker.
That relative to any other war that any Western world had, in civil ecosystems like we had, it's the smallest ratio.
This will not be seen as a war by history. It'll be seen as a genocide of people. This always comes out in the end. It cannot be buried, my friend. It will come out in the end. And you and the people of Israel responsible for it will be seen as monsters. I'm telling you now. I'm giving you forewarning.
עכשיו לגיבור ישראל, בן אדם שהוא נמצא 470 יום במילואים, מ-8 באוקטובר 23, כן, הרב אברהם זרביב. ולא אמרתי, מלך ה-D9 משטח ג'באליה. האיש צמא בעברך?
לא ראיתי בחיים טרקטור בחיים שלי, רק בתמונות. למדנו את המלאכה, באמת נהיינו ברמה מקצועית שאין דבר כזה. אני אומר, אמרתי למ"פ שלי...
They're celebrating him for bulldozing buildings in Gaza. The audience claps like seals.
כל בית זה על הקצה, נופל עליי, לא נופל עליי, ולחזור עם כלי שלם כל יום. זה כאילו באמת אומנות שרכשנו הרסנו הרבה כלים גם, זה לא... אבל עד שלמדנו את זה,
כל היום.
לילה אחרי לילה אחרי לילה, פיזית קשה.
וואו. תגיד לי, כמה בתים הורדת?
אני ממוצע בשבוע שאני נמצא זה 50 בתים. לא יחידות דיור.
They celebrate how many houses he bulldozes.
זה בניינים. אנחנו למדנו כאילו שתי קומות זה כבר לא...
לאן הם חוזרים הערבים עכשיו?
I weep for humanity. They're not there for the truth, the facts. It's all about partisan bullshit. My side's better than your side. We're busy destroying the only fucking planet we have to live on. Murdering each other.
היינו בדרך לשם, הגיע ההסכם, אנחנו עם מדינה עם כבר עשרות אלפים של משפחות, עשרות אלפי משפחות, אין להם נייר, אין להם תמונת ילדות, אין להם...
It can only be described as evil.
אין בית, אין כלום, הם באים, לא יודעים איפה הבית.
Just evil.
להצביע על כל מיני מקומות, מורידים את הפללנית, הם לא מבינים, הם לא מבינים איפה הם הגיעו, זה משהו לא יאומן.
That they are unwilling to recognize the evil they are committing. It's just disgusting. Pope Francis makes a video call to the Holy Family Catholic Parish in Gaza.
Buonasera, come stai?
Sto bene, grazie a Dio. Mia sposa è stata per la Santa Messa.
Ah, veramente. E quindi cosa avete mangiato oggi?
Il pollo, le ali, il resto del pollo, la salita che sta stato male. Lo che quedò del pollo la cena. Quasi tutti il compound qua ha mangiato pollo. Casi todos los refugiados acá comieron pollo ayer.
Ieri hanno mangiato pollo.
Anche il doctor Abdallah e también el doctor.
Salam alaikum.
On the call there. And of course, he's Spanish speaking. I think he's from Spain. I can't remember for sure. It might be a South American country though. Because per the Treaty of Tordesillas, the western half was Spanish and the eastern half of South America was Portuguese. It might be South America that he was from, but I'm wanting to say it was in Europe, which would be Spain. I can't remember for certain, but yeah, they're speaking Spanish from what I'm able to pick out and hear.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Grazie tante. Prima favori, non contro. A domani. A domani. Shukran. Shukran. Shukran.
Though it could be Portuguese, because Portugal was originally a part of Spain when it had fully formed under Isabella and Ferdinand. So maybe he's from Portugal or the eastern half of South America. Again, I am not sure. But yeah. I'll say this. Pope Francis, for a pope, has been pretty progressive, pretty forward. He's still a pope, though. Still part of the religious organization, and there's still going to be a lot to that he's not going to be able to dig through as far as Catholic dogmatics and procedures and everything. So yeah. Elon Musk has been backing neo-Nazi parties around the world, interfering in elections and using his massive platform to attack anyone who doesn't share his extreme right-wing views.
Thank you.
There's his Nazi salute.
Elon Musk has long supported right-wing causes here in the United States, including spending $250 million to re-elect Donald Trump. But recently he's decided to take his political project global, backing far-right parties in many other countries and using his massive platform to attack anyone who doesn't share his views.
Yeah, billionaires shouldn't exist.
In December, Musk publicly endorsed the German Alternative for Deutschland, or AfD, a far-right political party with deep ties to the neo-Nazi movement. Its founder and former leader, Alexander Golan, has said that Germany should be proud of its soldiers in the world wars and that people should no longer reproach Germans for World War II. Another prominent AfD leader openly plays with Nazi themes, shouting at meetings, "Everything for Germany," a Nazi stormtrooper slogan banned in Germany. As recently as 2023, AfD members participated in a secret meeting in Potsdam that included neo-Nazis where they discussed a mass deportation plan for, quote, non-assimilated Germans. They are also vehemently anti-Muslim. A 2017 AfD manifesto said, quote, "Islam does not belong in Germany. The AfD sees the spread of Islam and the presence of over 5 million Muslims, whose numbers are constantly growing, as a great danger to our state, our society, and our system of values." Despite trying to put forward a more moderate face in recent years, the current party co-leader Alice Weidel has said she sees the defeat of Nazi Germany as the defeat of one's own country by a former occupying power, rather than the country's liberation from the cruelty of Nazism. But Musk seems fine with all this. He has written that, quote, "Only the AfD can save Germany," unquote. He has repeatedly praised the party and recently hosted a live stream with Weidel to boost the party's electoral chances. And it's not just the German far right. Musk has regularly attacked UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, most recently saying that Starmer was complicit in the rape of Britain and calling for him to face criminal charges, while calling another Labour minister a rape genocide apologist. Musk has also repeatedly called for the release of Tommy Robinson, a member of England's openly fascist British National Party, who is serving time in prison after libeling a 15-year-old Syrian refugee who was violently assaulted at school. Musk was so angry about Robinson's imprisonment that he suggested on X that the U.S. should liberate the Brits from their tyrannical government. But Musk hasn't stopped with Germany and Britain. He has also leveled personal insults at many other officials who don't share his far-right agenda. He called German Chancellor Olaf Scholz an incompetent fool, and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau an insufferable tool. He's tried to get Italian judges fired for their rulings on immigration laws and attacked the European Union for its efforts to regulate social media platforms. Obviously, Musk has a right to free speech, but that doesn't mean he should be able to use his enormous wealth, much of which was obtained from American taxpayers via tens of billions in U.S. government contracts and clean energy credits, to promote far-right extremists and interfere in the domestic politics of our closest allies. And that doesn't mean there should not be consequences when these words incite violence. The truth is that Musk is a symptom of a deeper problem in our democracy: the corrosive power of extreme wealth in warping our politics and concentrating power in the hands of just a few people. Around the world, we're seeing super wealthy, well-connected oligarchs using their economic power to swing elections, direct mobs, stifle critics, and seize political power. That's what Musk is doing now, and it's one of the most significant threats to our democracy and democracies around the world.
Yeah. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again in this same episode. Billionaires should not exist. No longer will our government label the speech of our own citizens as misinformation or disinformation, which are the favorite words of censors and those who wish to stop the free exchange of ideas and, frankly, progress. We have saved free speech in America. No, you fucking haven't. You're a god. You're an idiot. You are an idiot. Without a doubt. One of the biggest the world has ever seen.
In addition, I'm pleased to report that America is also a free nation once again. On day one, I signed an executive order to stop all government censorship. No longer will our government label the speech of our own citizens as misinformation or disinformation, which are the favorite words of censors and those who wish to stop the free exchange of ideas and, frankly, progress. We have saved free speech in America, and we've saved it strongly.
Nope. You've set the stage for lies to be more common than facts. That's what you've done. Finally, an officer from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office was fired after accidentally shooting a man with his own gun while stopping him for running a red light in Jacksonville. Why did you shoot somebody you were running a traffic stop on? Did he have a weapon? We'll find out. I've not watched this yet.
Remove the pistol, and we'll go from there. Alright? Yeah. Yeah, you're good. I appreciate it, man, being very honest.
Oh, you're alright.
Oh!
Shit. You okay? Put the gun down.
Go down. Yeah, shouting like, HQ 2162, we rescued 1062.
So this wasn't even an intentional, act of BS that is normal with cops. This was just complete and utter buffoonery.
You okay? Hey, can you do me for just get
Wow. I can see why the man was fired now. He was complying. He was being friendly even despite the stop. And yet you allowed yourselves into the position where your gun goes off on him, wounding him in the leg. You realize how tough it is sometimes. I'm speaking to people who aren't from the U.S. How tough it is sometimes to be American when you see all the other stupidity in America. Goodness. Well, with that done, we'll go ahead and end this episode here. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I will be putting links in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.